one of our goals is to surround the audience with birds. So a lot of bird programs are, you're the audience and the bird show is happening on a stage. We really want people to be more immersed and like have that emotional reaction to the owl going right over their head. When the owl comes across and people's faces are just like, that's never stopped being fun. We are here at the Arizona-Sonora Desert Museum Raptor Free Flight Program. We fly up to 4 species of native birds. We often fly Chihuahuan ravens, great horned owl, crested caracara, and a family group of harrises, but it is always up to the birds who feels like coming out. Raptor Free Flight started back in 1996. It was originally envisioned as a loose, informal interaction. You come around a corner down here and find just someone hanging out in the desert with some Harris's hawks. It was so popular, it became it's happening every day at this time, and then from there it grew. I actually had worked with birds before I started here. I started in wildlife rehab as a teenager, raising pigeons and things you find around the neighborhood, and then got doing it a little more professionally. Everyone has favorite birds, right? If you don't tell the birds who's your favorite, but everyone's got favorite birds. Honestly, kind of a favorite always has been the Harris's hawks, just because they are unique. They are sort of hardwired to be cooperative, so they're kind of playing along with you in a way that most other hawks aren't. And then ravens are just straight up fun. They are a flying 4-year-old with pliers for a face. We do work with birds from like wildlife rehabilitation backgrounds, so a lot of times we have to rebuild their trust in people because maybe they were getting grabbed up and medicated, or maybe they were stressed out being around people, and kind of like reshape those interactions so that being around people isn't scary and it's fun or it's interesting, and rebuilding those relationships. The owl we flew this morning, her parents had made a nest in the top shelf of a Home Depot up in Oro Valley. Wild owls will defend those nests against everything. They were dive bombing the visitors. They had to move the nest outside. Parents abandoned it. And the chicks were so used to being around people, they weren't deemed releasable. It makes for a great ambassador bird. She's incredibly comfortable around audiences. She's been seeing people literally her whole life. There's a lot of captive breeding of raptors. Another institution breeds a Harris hawk because they need one more Harris hawk and they end up with 4 more Harrises, and then they can list it and say, we have extra Harrises who would like one, and we can trade birds basically. It's a little bit like Craigslist without having to like meet in parking lots or anything. We're all on little radios. So yeah, Caitlin, you're gonna be a baker, that's perfect. Whoever is usually calling the demo is talking to at least 2 coworkers, 4 volunteers, and then we're talking about what the birds are doing. Shoot, somebody call Rudy, because you know there's 5 Harrises out, they all have names, we can tell them all apart, and they all have little personalities, so like that one's gonna start trouble, and that one's gonna go flirt with the girl, and like keeping it all kind of on track is what we're talking about the whole time. The birds are the boss. They do pretty much whatever they want the whole time they're out here. And we're just kind of like fine-tuning what direction they're doing it in as far as like over the audience and keeping it all flowing. Everything is positive reinforcement based. What we're feeding them is little pieces. It's basically the commercialized version of what they eat in the wild. So farm-raised mice, quail, rat. We chop it up so it's kind of generic on site. We don't want to be putting up mouse heads to show up in people's photography later. The birds do enjoy that, and they get that in other parts of their diet, but we don't put it up in front of the cameras. The reason why they don't just fly away is kind of rooted in the natural history of a lot of birds, so like it's really tough to make a living out in nature. Locally, as much as 90% of young birds don't make it out of the nest if we have a bad year of rain. After millennia of surviving those kinds of pressures, they're really kind of hardwired for an easy living. So if they have reliable food, water, and shelter and nothing bad is happening, they don't have a reason to just pack up and go to visit Mexico. The reason we have all the pockets is we are carrying diets, telemetry, gloves, your own cell phone. We usually carry water bottles. Whenever we're doing demo, we have to be ready to basically walk into the desert at any time and maybe not come back for a few hours. So being 100% ready when you start demo makes the rest of your day a lot easier if it goes off track. And the reason we have to walk off in the desert if one of our birds gets spooked off or goes hunting, then you're on a freestyle hike about for a little bit. We get into February and early March when all the Harrises are really hormonal is usually when we're doing that for an afternoon. But as of right now, knock on wood, it's been pretty low key. People get to see an animal up close, realize that they have these in their backyard and they actually have control over that little part of their life to help wildlife, and that they carry that forward into their space.
Hi, I'm Tom McNamara, host of Arizona Illustrated. Thanks so much for watching this story from our show. And for more local stories from Arizona Illustrated, just click right here.